Wah, wah. Let's start over that one. We're getting there. Welcome to the Bible Department Podcast, your place for discovering the wisdom within the pages of the Bible. Each episode dives deep into 3 essential questions. After some time, we'll return to the heart of our mission, exploring the core of the Bible's teaching. Join us in this enriching journey of faith and self-discovery. It's time to check in with the Bible Department. Bada bing, bada boom, yeah. Bada bing, bada boom.
Oh,
I had a total brain aneurysm. Like
you
why?
mean a brain fart?
Maybe. Like I could not make out the word.
Okay.
But it happens. Hey, we're Matt.
We're here.
And Kristen. We're live here on the YouTubes. Thanks for tuning in. If you're checking out with this, I didn't post on Facebook. I always forget to, but that's okay. That's okay. We got a special episode tonight. Not really a special episode, just a typical episode. We're gonna do 3 questions. That's what I decided. I couldn't decide. We had some really cool. We had this article pop up. Maybe I'll do a separate video of just my lonesome about it. Maybe we will do something afterwards. I don't really know. We shall see. But there's an article on the Rolling Stone about K-Love, and they don't like K-Love. So who knows? I think we'll do a separate.
Okay.
I'll love you if you let me do a separate video with you.
Okay.
Yes. Also, a special announcement. Is your interview next week? Is that live? Or is that just a record?
I think it's a record.
Okay. But my dear sweet wife, I'm going to put her big on screen. Bada bing, bada boom. This beautiful woman is going to be doing her own podcast episode with a good friend of ours, Miss Elizabeth Woodson.
Check her out.
Of the Starting Place podcast. So
follow.
Yeah, follow, subscribe to them. We don't care about us. Don't subscribe here. Follow and subscribe her. And I'm really excited to hear your conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe I'll do a react video.
Yes.
I'll play it and then criticize you. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that.
I love that.
I don't like my mic coming on the side of the screen, by the way.
I don't like my mic over here. I don't know why you did that.
Yeah. Can you I'll mute you a little bit, but can you not scoot it up, but twist it and turn it? And yep, there you go. Perfect. Now just point the mic at you. Perfect. Just like that. Thank you.
Gotcha.
All right. What'd I say? Oh, 3 questions. So we're going to do 3 questions. Again, I scoured the subreddits, Ask a Christian, Christianity, and today, nihilism, because it popped up on the main feed, and I was like, intriguing. And
Nihilism.
Is it nihilism?
Mm-hmm.
I prefer nihilism because it's like annihilation. So nihilism.
I can get with that. Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. So let's actually jump right into it. Let's see here. Okay. Your first question. I want to get into a rhythm where I can give an introduction so that I can make these really good separate videos. But we'll get there one day. All right. Question number 1 from Ask a Christian, the subreddit. This comes from user the guy YT1. Why does God let evil people live good lives? This is your typical question.
Mm-hmm.
As a Christian, I feel so bad when I go through bad things and I see evil people living. He wrote God lives, but I think he meant good lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I see people living good lives. It's so upsetting. And of late, my faith is being tested. That's it.
Yeah. Well, my heart goes out to you. What was his name?
Young T.
It
went away.
Because, it makes, I think all of us have had moments where we've, looked at what other people have and wonder why, but I would just challenge you to think, what is good? What is a good life? Because, you can go through and look at the lives of the rich and famous, and they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're, just like us, or even more so, because they're not grounded. So, divorce rate, crazy high. suicide, mental health. You know, it's crazy. And so I guess I would challenge, like, what is a good life to you? What does that look like in your brain? You know, I don't know. I'm leery to say what. Let's just say I had a friend of mine who, and this is no slight to her because it was a terrible situation, but you know, it appeared on her socials that she, like, her husband was really rich. They were like in Bali and, like, you know, doing all the things. And, you know, every once in a while, my heart is like, oh, it would be nice to, like, be in Bali. Okay. Nothing, no slight against you, babe.
Real slighted, but that's okay. Go on.
But, you know, I mean, they had, like, they drove a Porsche, had the big house. She had all the things. And just later on in life, it was a facade, like, not a slight against her, but her husband was abusive, you know, and, like, I was really shocked because, like, you know, he went to church with her, you know, he grew up in a small Black Baptist church and had all the looks of success, but it wasn't good. Yeah. So I guess, like, you know, I could come back with a lot of, like, theology to answer that question, but I think I would rather you just sit with what is a good life? You know, what is it?
Yeah.
'Cause they seem stressed out. The rich and famous seem stressed out, even more so than we are. So,
yeah. When I see this, I see the first thing they said, like, I feel so bad when I go through bad things. This is going to sound terrible, but, like, you should, because that's part of life. Like, when bad things happen, you will naturally feel bad. Like, not like you should feel bad but, like, you will naturally have these emotions.
mm-hmm.
And so I think there is a disconnect. I'm just going to assume who this person is.
Mm-hmm.
They're a person, they're probably a younger guy, probably see everything on social media. Mm-hmm. And I think, I'm just assuming, for young people, meaning 26 and younger, because you grow up on the internet, like, you're so ingrained to seeing everybody's, like, basically their highlight reel.
Yeah.
And you're going through the mud.
Right.
And so, like, that's going to happen. So, like, you're going to see, it's going to seem like these people are living good lives and they're unbothered. But, like, you know, they're going to go through it too.
Yeah, they do.
But they don't post it.
That's true. Yeah. And before we move to the next question, you know, Dr. Tony Evans always used to say that, you know, the scripture says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust. And the difference is that we have an umbrella in Jesus Christ. And an umbrella doesn't stop the rain from falling. That's the bad things that are coming down. Like, the umbrella doesn't stop the rain, but it affects how the rain affects you. Mm-hmm. And that's how Jesus is for us. Like, he's our covering. So we're gonna both have some rain, but I've got this covering over me that affects how it affects my life. Yeah. You know, and I always thought that was really profound.
Yeah, there's a picture. I always share it when it pops up in my Facebook feed because I found it on the internet one day and I just laughed at it because I was going through some tough things at that time, and it was this purple monster. And it's raining, and he has this umbrella, and he's got this sad face, and he's like, and, like, it's like two sections. Mm-hmm. And so the first one says like you're going through it. This is how it feels, but in the second one, it's a Christian one. He's like, but this is how it really is, and, like, everything around him is on fire.
Yeah.
But he's under the rain umbrella. Like when you really think about it, like,
yeah,
you learn, and what your dad was saying at church on Sunday was, like, we're thankful for rain because you grow, like, plants grow due to rain.
Yeah.
So I'll have to, when I edit this and upload it, I'll throw the picture up, like, right here so that you can see what I'm talking about. I every time I see it, I love it. It just brings a smile to my face.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Number 2.
Number 2.
And I think this is it's a similar question, but a little different. Okay, and here we go. This says, from Ask a Christian, from the user Alzocrine.
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder how people come up with their usernames. So interesting. What's the point of life? Why did God make all this? That's the title. Why did God make us? Why did he put us here? We messed up a lot of things. We created a fake life that consists of chasing after money and paying to live on an earth that doesn't belong to us. We pretend and play this fake society game. We let people die outside with no shelter because they can't afford a place to live. Humans make up this fake concept of living. It's disgusting. We work our whole lives. I thought God created us for his glory. Is that true? The world seems like one big distraction. Distracted by so much media and evil. Didn't God know we would end up like this? What now? What's the point? Marriage, children, not everyone gets or wants those, and those are so overhyped that people feel like they're a failure if they don't. Just wait till the nihilism.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Down the road, marriage and our kids. I thank God for a lot, but sometimes I do wonder why he made us, and this is how we end up. He didn't need us to exist. It's like he just brought us here with no choice, then let us run around being crazy. Sometimes I think a lot, maybe God isn't actually here, but I don't stay there. I can't because I do believe. I want to, I need to. This can't all be for no reason. This can't all be for nothing, but I feel like even in prayer, there's no communication and no answer from God. So what now?
Ooh, that's deep. You know what? I'm thankful to that young man or woman for just sharing, like, being real. Like, how many of us we've had those thoughts before? Like, what is this all about? What are we doing here? You know? But yeah, that's loaded. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's unpacking or he or she is unpacking a lot.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if I can address like all of it, but this is what I would say. Yes, we are created for God's glory. I think I always use, and I may have said this on the podcast before, but I use this analogy and the issue of sin is an issue of free will, right? So we weren't born to be in chaos. We were born to be in community with God. Mm-hmm. And it was good. And when he made us, it said it was very good, you know? So I think that's the first thing to realize, to remember that the state that we're in was not the state it was supposed to be. And then you have to ask the question, okay, well, why did you allow us to sin? You know, he kind of got to that point, or he or she was saying like, what was the point? They said that didn't God know we would end up this way? And it's like one of the best examples of free will that I've ever received was when we talked about, like, let's say someone wanted to give you a puppy and you had a choice. You can have a real breathing, alive dog that when you got home,
you did talk about this before.
Yeah, you would get home and you open the door and the dog is happy and excited to see you. Or you can choose a robot dog who, when you get home, the dog comes to the door and is happy and excited to see you. But one is forced to do so, and the other one does it out of, love and just true joy, right? And so which one would you want? I think almost everybody would choose that they would not want programmed love, you know? And so when it comes to like God, like he deserves all the glory, all the honor. He's worthy in and of himself. So he didn't need us. But to create a robot that just like loves you, like, I love you, like what? That's terrible. Like nobody wants that. And, God is a God of community. He's a God of love and relationship. And so you can't really have a relationship with a robot, right?
Right.
And so I think that I would start there for his or her comment on that, as far as like, we weren't created for this spiral of life. Yeah. But then even more so that God saw what happened and actually cleaned up our mess. Like, what if we focused on that more than we focused on the mess, you know? But the God who actually did something about it and gives us a hope and a future.
Yeah. I'm going to give this young person or old person, I'm going to give them some Bible.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher. Completely meaningless. Like,
I love Ecclesiastes.
You don't think God knew? Like, you don't think like people who have lived here on this earth before we were even before our fathers was a speck in their father's eye. Like, this is already addressed. Yes.
Yeah.
This comes from the author, which it's
most people believe is King Solomon.
Yeah, King David's son, where he had literally everything.
Yeah.
Concubines, wives, the life, and jobs and rule and authority. And he's just like,
yeah,
everything's. Ecclesiastes is a great book to read.
It is. And I think the thing is, Ecclesiastes doesn't leave you in the pit. If you read on, it then reflects back to God. Like, he is the only thing that matters. He's the only thing that, the reason why we live. And so someone could say, like, well, what is our purpose? I think that's why believers have more resilience in how we walk through the world, because we have a hope and a purpose that's found in Christ, not the daily grind. Because even Lily, our middle girl, she is what is she, babe? Like 9? Yeah,
she's 9.
She's 9, and she told me one day, she was like, wake up, eat, go to school, come home, do homework, take a bath, wake up, go to sleep, home, school, bath. And she's like, it just happens over and over again. And I was like, yes, it does.
Who does she get that from?
I don't know. But I mean, I think all of us have, like you said, Ecclesiastes also says there's nothing new under the sun. So yes, like the daily grind, if that's all you have, then you watch out, because you ain't got much.
Yeah.
And I think that would be my hope for that person. Like, find your purpose in what God has told us to do. Yeah. Go therefore and make disciples of all people, baptizing them and teaching them to obey all that I've commanded. Yeah.
I'm going to give them a little bit more Bible. This is Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1. Don't let the excitement of youth cause you to forget your Creator. Honor him in your youth before you grow old and say, life is not pleasant anymore. Remember him before the light of the sun, moon, and stars is dim to your old eyes and rain clouds continually darken your sky. Remember him before your legs, the guards of your house, start to tremble, and before your shoulders, the strong men stoop. Remember him before your teeth, your few remaining servants stop grinding before your eyes, the women looking through the windows see dimly. And it just continues on each verse. Remember him, remember your Creator.
That's beautiful.
Like, everything is, and then it repeats it. Everything is meaningless, completely meaningless. Keep this in mind. The teacher was considered wise. He taught the people everything he knew. He listened carefully, studying and classifying. But my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless and much study wears you out. That's the whole story. Here now is the final conclusion. Fear God and obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. And that's the end of Ecclesiastes. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, but in those bookends of those two chapters, it's just like, I've had it all. It's meaningless. It sucked. Mm-hmm. But the main thing was like keeping God at the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I'm going to do another read through of Ecclesiastes.
It's really good.
That's actually Mom's favorite verse. She had it read at her funeral. I think it was Ecclesiastes 4. Mm-hmm. But yeah. All right. Last one. Now, I'm going to do my best to, like, if you thought that one was bad, I'll probably just read a portion of this one, but you'll get the same drift.
Okay.
But this is nihilism.
Sure.
From Reddit, nihilism. Feels so weird saying that. I am so effing tired of this nonsense. I think I have a bleep button. I do. I'm not going to use it because I'll end up cussing. All right. So from user SmackGod5150.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is.
Okay.
All right. They say, I usually don't post because I'll type it out and then be like, forget it. Who cares? But it's past to it. He doesn't say forget it. And the void is closed, so I'm just ranting here. Read or don't. Doesn't matter. I don't give a F. Probably won't read it in the comments because I don't care. You should care. You should care. People need you. I'm just so tired, bored of life. I guess professionals would say I have clinical depression, but I'm not sad really, just frustrated. I'm mad I can't be simple like most people and just be happy doing the same routine every day over and over and over until death. I'm just so effing bored with everything and people don't get it. They're like, oh, just get out more, do this, do that. I've tried. Everything bores me. I don't find anything exciting. I have no desires. Even if I had $10 million, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Big house, meh. Fancy car, double meh. I've never been impressed by things. Go somewhere new. I've been other places. They are just as crappy as where I am. Just shop selling junk I don't need. What is there that's exciting? I truly don't know. I don't even like TV or movies anymore. Nothing's funny. I don't see the point of watching people pretending to do things that 95% don't even happen in real life. The only thing on TV close to real life is documentaries about someone's life, and even then, they add stuff that never happened to make it more entertaining. Sports suck. Sorry. I can't be entertained by someone who throws balls good. I'm jealous of plants. Oh, this last thing, because I read this. I was like, that's funny. I'm jealous of plants who don't have to do anything but be and get nutrients from dirt and the sun, and the bees love them. Everything sucks, but, and that's how they end it. Well, they say a little bit more, but whatever.
Okie dokie.
So there you go. That is Smack God 5150, and everything sucks.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, man, you're right. Everything sucks. Everything is stupid. But God is good.
I don't know if I would say that,
No?
just personally.
And God is good.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, like, I can identify with this dude or woman. Like, I've been in places where it's like, seriously, I'm frustrated with everything. So I'm not going to harp on that too much. But I do think it sounds like he has clinical depression. And for someone who has depression, like, it's you. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but you literally cannot see the trees for the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And or vice versa, you know? And so, like, when I think about my life and I think about, like, sometimes I go back through and look at videos of the kids, you know?
Like the Steelers and their Super Bowls.
Well, yes, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you go through these moments of just like excitement and joy and adrenaline and even the bad parts, the tears and the emotions, the raging, like it's like the community, the people, like it's pretty amazing if you think about it. Like, yeah, things happen and things suck, but sometimes maybe it's just our expectations. Like, you know, we were talking before about how I tend to like find God in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, something almost brought me to tears the other day, and it was so strange. And I think it was just the rain. And I was just sitting there looking like, this is
help the rain.
Yeah, I'm like, this is amazing. Like the condensation, like the water accumulates in the clouds and it gets heavy and then it falls down to the earth and does this thing that goes back up and it's a cycle. Like, look, this is amazing. And God did that. So like, I think with learning to like find small moments of joy in the little things, that joy I mean, those brief moments of happiness aren't going to stay with you, but they're worth it. You know what I mean? And so like that would be my prayer for that person. First of all, I think it helps if you go to a doctor, go to a therapist, get medicated so that you can see the trees for the forest. When you slow down and see the trees and like, you know, for instance, raising kids. I know it's killing you that I'm like hitting my mic.
You're fine. I honestly wasn't even paying attention until just now.
Oh, so really? I feel like you were like darting your eyes at me.
Don't be mad at me.
My bad.
It's not me. It's the people who listen.
Okay. But anyway,
take it up with her.
As I was saying, like, raising children can get to the point where there's times where you want to just throw up your hands and you're like, this is the absolute worst. And then you look back and see like when they first started walking or when they grab your hand. And it's like, these are freaking wonderful moments in life. Okay. Like, or even when you get to like water your plants and see that there's a new bud on the plant, like you pointed out today, you know,
I love it.
Like, why can't we just, I don't know. I feel for him because I feel like the state that he is in is something that is depression makes it harder to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
But when you do stop and smell the roses, there's enough roses in life to make it beautiful.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. I'm gonna write that down.
I'm gonna quote that and put Kristen on Facebook.
Put it on a pillow.
Yeah. I have a few thoughts about this person. Number one, I think this person, and I'm assuming, so you know what they say about assuming. I think this person went through some things in life that led them to this point. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but studies have shown that like people with bad upbringings, basically, like not love, not comfort, something's going on. Usually get to this point where it's like, screw it. The other issue is like where he wishes he could be a plant or like a butterfly. Like we talked about this yesterday with the whole idea of reincarnation. Thank you. And the idea that we talked about was like you get the privilege to suffer, right? Like I heard about that in the Chinese Christians, like they get the privilege to suffer that American Christians don't get.
You're saying the Chinese Christians were saying that?
Yeah. They were saying that they get the privilege to suffer, and so when if reincarnation was a thing and you become a butterfly or a plant or something, you don't get the joy of suffering. You don't get to experience that because what happened, you just react to biology. And so there's like this becomes this disconnect, I think. And I don't know where I was going with that, but what I think is like you're saying, like when you smell the rose, like when you really sit down and you can say, oh, that's what I was going to say. When it started getting nice out last spring, like I would go for walks and we would have the overgrown weeds. And what I would do, I would literally just touch the weeds. And so there's an old saying on the internet called "go touch grass." They use it as an insult because you're on the internet too much, but literally go touch grass. Yeah. Like there was something about just touching it that I was like, oh yeah, like this is interesting. And then when I garden, my hands are in dirt. I'm like, oh yeah, like there's something to it. That's just like, like oh yeah, like we're more than just what's here. Like the grass, the plants, like those things are life, but it's more significant. I think
what he's saying is the simplicity of being a plant, like because it seems simple, but it's also kind of tragic because there's, like you said, yesterday you said like a slave to biology, like you grow.
That's what it was, slave to biology.
Yeah, you have no real choices in the matter. You don't, get to pick up and move somewhere else, and and it's like the life is complex, but complexity is more interesting than simplicity, I think, in that way.
And he says it in the first sentence, because I mean, he just vomits all over it. But he says, "I'm mad I can't be simple like most people and just be happy doing the same routine every day." And for as people who do the same routine every day, we don't get the joy from the routine. We don't get the happiness from the routine. It's who's behind the routine.
Yeah.
Like I get up and I bathe the kids for God's glory. It's that mother quote that I always quote. There's a mommy blog, and on the mommy blog that says the author says, "You're not sweeping up Cheerios, you're cleaning holy ground."
Yeah.
And when you put life into that perspective, you can enjoy the simple routine and be like, "Oh yeah, I don't have the best of everything.
Yeah. But
I have what I need, and God has given me that."
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope that would be helpful for somebody. I know it's hard to hear that when you're going through, but in all honesty, the answer is Jesus. Definitely, because we could talk about smelling roses all we want, but when you don't have that hope in Christ, man, that's tough.
And go to therapy. It's both. It's both and Jesus and therapy. It's both things. All right, let's talk about Genesis 8. It took us a minute, but we got there.
All of those were the same question, basically, babe. Like, literally.
There's a theme. There's a theme tonight. All right. Genesis 8, starting at verse 15. Then God said to Noah, "Leave the boat, all of you, you and your wife, and your sons and their wives. Release all the animals, the birds, the livestock, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, so they can be fruitful and multiply throughout the earth." So Noah, his wife, and his sons and their wives left the boat, and all the large and small animals and birds came out of the boat, pair by pair. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and there he sacrificed as burnt offerings the animals and birds that had been approved for that purpose. And the Lord was pleased with the aroma of the sacrifice and said to himself, "I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil from childhood. I will never again destroy all living things. As long as the earth remains, there will be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night." And that is Genesis 8, 15 through 22.
This is the word of the Lord.
That's the word of the Lord. What does this reveal about God, about Jesus, about his plan? Question one. And I've read Genesis a bunch of times. That last verse, as long as the earth remains, there'll be planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter. Day. Like, just it's poetic. It's beautiful, and it's just like, yeah, you're gonna have this.
That caught my attention too.
Yeah,
and it just like this. It's kind of, I mean, it's really reminiscent of Ecclesiastes, right?
Yeah.
There's a time to sow, a time to reap. There's this, there's that. And it's like God is saying, hey, I'm not. And it's interesting. He says, like, he won't curse the ground on account of man. So all that of God's creation, the world and the animals and just all of that, like, we kind of said, what does it say about God? Like, he cares for all of these things, right? And so it's interesting because he realizes that we're not going to be great at this life thing.
Yeah.
He says, I will never again, what does he say here?
I will never again curse the ground because of the human race, even though everything they think or imagine is bent toward evil.
From his youth.
From childhood.
Yes, that's rough. But yeah, I just like, I see God's grace in this, because he already knows that our thoughts are bent towards evil, which is interesting. I tried to start watching that new that new reality show. I think it's called The Trust. And
where they vote people off with the money?
Yeah.
I couldn't be on that show.
Yeah. Well,
I'd be like, y'all just want to split? Like really, you want to be that? Like, I would just shame people. Like, y'all want to be that greedy? Like, you don't. Instead of getting potentially nothing, you can be guaranteed this amount.
Yeah,
you want to be greedy.
That's how the show works. So you get there and you're already a winner. Everybody has the money. You can split evenly. But if even one person deviates from the plan, then you can get nothing.
That's why socialism doesn't work, man.
Yeah, it's tough. And so,
sorry.
Anyway, the reason why I brought up the trust is because there was a guy on there. They were doing the little cast interviews, and he said that he believes that man is inherently good, and you have to choose evil. And I was like, oh man, this dude is going to get messed up in this game.
You need to go to church, bro. You need to learn.
Yeah, because I was just like, it's the age old saying, and it's interesting how God says like man is evil from his youth, because you don't have to teach kids how to manipulate, how to steal, how to lie. Like there's some complex sins that they learn from cultural norms, but in general, like we have a tendency to be selfish.
And they're good at screaming at each other.
Oh my gosh. We have 3 small kids and they are great at screaming at each other.
I love them, but they scream a lot. Well, we scream a lot. So that is what it is.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
All right. Next question. What does this reveal about humans? What does it say about people? Can I just say that if I was Noah, I would disobey God? Because you spent how many days with all those animals? And it'd be like, I gotta release them now? I'd be like, oh man, that's Carl and Steve. They're gonna leave me now. I spent all this
Carl and Steve.
like,
Little Winona. She's gone.
Like I named them all. We're like, they're not just horse and deer, but they got names.
Yeah, that makes sense. But you know what? I think that shows like God has given us also the ability to have dominion in a good way.
Yeah. To
care for the earth and care for animals. So I think it kind of points back to God's character and who God has made us to be, Now he did get off and kill a bunch of them for the sake of Jesus Christ.
But it was a proof of that. But if you remember from previously, that like it was what I was saying, that when you read the kids' version of the Noah story, you just get like the pairs of animals.
Yeah.
But there were more animals.
Sacrificial animals, food animals. Yeah. And I think I love what it says there. So almost the first thing he did, was it almost or the very first?
Yeah, no, it was the first thing.
Was
allegedly the first thing. He built an altar to the Lord.
Yeah.
They got out. He built an altar to the Lord and sacrificed burnt offerings.
But like I think there's something to be said about God and man in that. Like God's desire from man, the very first thing once they got out was sacrifice.
Yeah.
And the sacrifice shows submission to God, and the fact that Noah was submissive and didn't ride off with Winona and Steve, Carl and them. Like the fact that he did it is beautiful, because we talked about Noah's obedience as being an example for us. So that's like my takeaway for what does this say about man, the propensity for obedience. Like, yes, we have a bent towards evil, but when we submit it unto Christ, we have the ability to actually do what God says.
Yeah. And which goes into my next one. According to this passage, what am I doing well? What do I need to change? And I'll just kick things off with just our answered prayer from it was kind of my answered prayer. It was also kind of a slight smack you upside the head from God. So our church was doing a business meeting, and we were talking about the money we were brought in as a church and how much we spent and how much we brought in, and we went over, but we had enough money in our church bank account where we could pay out those expenses. And so our church has some things that they want to do in terms of improving, because there's safety issues and the whole sorts of things. So they were talking about money. It's tight, and people don't like talking about money. That's just human nature. Anyways, so you already know this. I'm telling the audience. So
I'm with you.
Okay, just make sure. And so for me, like we got paid and I didn't tithe. Normally I do, but I didn't because money was going to be coming up and it was going to be tight. And I was like, I got you on the next round, God. Just being honest. I got you on the next round. But when I was sitting there and I got paid on Friday, but I was sitting there in church on Sunday and we were talking about it. I was like, man, God, I'm like, he's like, see, man, we're not bringing enough. I told you, like, this is how I imagine God talking to me in my head. It's probably just me, but I'm like, all right. So I pulled out my phone, got on the church app. I tithe the 10% from the check. And then they were talking about, raising money for the parking lot. And it's like the same price as it was like 35,000 we need to raise. And one of our friends, Hannah, we're going to get her on the podcast soon. Yep. You heard that right, Hannah. But she speaks up and she's like, if you just give up $13.54 a week, we can, with 50 people, we can pay this thing off an entire year of 35,000. And I'm like, oh, okay. Wait, $13. That's the same price as my Chipotle burrito with queso, steak, extra steak, or extra meat and queso.
Yeah. Same
price. So I'm like, you know what, God, I will sacrifice my burrito for you, right? And I'm just like, I'm not expecting anything in return. It's nice though, but hey, I'm giving it to you. You have not because you asked not, right? You have not because you asked not. And the story doesn't end there. The next day, I had to take our car that got a flat tire in to get a new tire. And I'm hoping we had the tire warranty. We didn't. I'm hoping they could patch it. They couldn't. And the guy walks around the car. I'm like, don't walk around our car. Like, I don't. Please don't walk around our car. Like, I just this tire. And he's like, all your tires are bad. He's like, you got to get them fit. And I'm like, okay. So it was X amount of dollars. It was a lot more than I wanted to spend, obviously, if you bought tires, and then they called me today and they're like, yeah, your
ball joints
and your sprickum sprackum, they're
bearings.
Busted. Your car won't align. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever you say. That'll be an extra $300 some, whatever. And I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, and my prayer was Monday night. It was last night. It was like, God, it's tight. I don't know how I was going to do it, but I trust you. You got this. All right. So whenever you show up, it's cool with me. I didn't expect him to show up because we got a special little bonus and it basically covered the 95% of the cost. So yeah. So that's what happens.
A very unexpected.
Very, very unexpected. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, God doesn't always show up to your answered prayers the way you think. Like God, like if you're praying for financial breakthrough, what I'm not saying is that God will absolutely. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. What I am saying is that you will find joy when you do obey. You find a lot less stress when you are obedient. And you do get to brag on God when he does show up.
Yeah.
And what I did was I wrote that, like, instead of just ignoring that prayer, I wrote that down in my Bible. I said, prayer, underneath the prayer, I went, prayer answered. This is how it was answered. And so when I go back, is it in here? No, it's in the other room. So when I go back next year, I'm going to see this prayer. I was like, oh, that's right. This prayer was answered here. And so if you're a praying person, write down your prayers and then follow up if they've been answered in some way.
Yeah. Even yesterday, I was telling my mom about like the money we were going to have to spend on the car. And I was like, yeah, I'm not worried, but I'm a little bit overwhelmed, you know, and then literally the next day in the Black church, we would say, now somebody say the next day, we get this call and like, there's the money and like, even, the praise report for me getting like that unexpected raise. Yeah. Like I've never been in a job where they just called me up and said, hey, we've already negotiated your contract, but we really appreciate what you do. Here's more money. Like that doesn't happen. Yeah. And I have been praying that God would help us to raise some more funds to support Wednesday night ministry. And it was just amazing, like, to just get that call. And so, anyway, it's pretty cool to see God, like when you operate in obedience, to see him paving the way. Like whenever I pray for people in this way, I always ask, like the scripture says that he makes our path straight. That's what I pray, like that he, literally will go before us and make a straight path before us so that we can put one foot in front of the other and follow him.
Yeah.
God's pretty awesome.
God is awesome. God is really, really cool.
And you know what? It kind of goes back to the whole nihilism stuff we've been talking about. Like, it's hard to be completely down in the dump when you see these glimmers of the divine here and there. Like you hold on to that.
Yeah. Because it's not like anything extravagant, but for it to be dang near exact to what you need is more than just coincidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally the next day.
Yeah. So it's just it's almost like an instant reaction. Like I did, and I'm not saying God always does this. It was just in this instance, I acted, I repented, I made it right with God, and this is how he chose to pay it back.
Yeah.
Which was just, and all I said was, in my prayer was like, you know what's coming up. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I trust you. Here you go. This is your tithe back. And here's a little extra to help out with the parking lot.
Yeah. So hopefully next year we'll have a brand new parking lot. I had no clue. This is a whole nother thing. Apparently back in the day when they would fill in a land to develop, they would literally, the practice was just to throw anything in there. That was a normal thing to do. So it's true. And so when they were building the parking lot next to our church, I don't know, maybe in the early 80s, they literally, like the bottom of the pit, it was like mattresses and
they just like, hey, we ain't gonna spend money on dirt.
It's like,
bring what you got.
Like washing machines, like
we got a dryer in the back. So
I know. And like when I found, and so now obviously 40 years passes and now the ground is super uneven, opening up sinkholes. And I found out that was like a common practice to do back in the day. Just, fill up stuff. So
now we're wild back then.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't just be throwing stuff in a hole and expect it to not.
You boomers were wild. Just like,
So anyway, hopefully we'll have a solid ground for our church parking lot that is not opening up sinkholes.
Yeah. And then more people can park at church.
Who knows? Maybe this is preparation for what God's going to do for peace.
Yeah.
So
who knows? But we just got to be faithful and obedient.
Obedience.
And we fully expect God will bless us in the long run. So we're Matt and Kristen. If you like the video, thanks for watching. So subscribe, all those things, and we will see you next Tuesday for our next. No, actually, not next Tuesday because she's recording and she won't be with me. So
bye.
We'll figure something out. We love you. Have a good one. Bye.